Okay, so
I think it's the same with everybody it's like a kid when he finds a new toy, right? You want to play with it as much as you can, every single day, all day long. Yeah, I think that's the beginning of their relationship with the martial art in any way. It's not a bad thing, I don't think. And it's very common. Yeah, very common. Oh, it was intense, nice. There's is a city in Brazil where the Gracies had this massive house, and it was an entire block of house. You know, it's a big family. They used to live up there. Had 21 bedrooms. They had a gym, a nice gym. And when it was sunny, we just put a canvas out in the grass, huge canvas, and train outside. It was a form of getting out of Rio and being in a nice place, because you have Teresópolis is a very nice city. They have waterfalls and mountains to climb, so you can do a nice workout and be able to train every day that you were there with, you know, the best training partners you could get, really. you felt like I was married to Gracie, so I was kind of part of the family. It was very nice. You know, I have very, very good memories of the days that we spent there. I even lived there for a while. Very nice, yeah. Oh, we were lost. We were completely lost. Some of us never put the gi again. And I think we all faded away a bit because the gym itself, Halls was about to move gyms because we split a little building with Carlton, and both schools were getting too big to be in the same place. Carson was growing enormously, and so was Halls. And he already had a house, and he was preparing me, Jacaré, Talarico, Rodrigo, Márcio too, I think Márcio too. He was preparing, we would all move to the new place and we would start teaching with him. So when he passed away, we were, you know, when you like, you lose a family member, you like lose a limb and you don't really know what to do after that. So I found myself in a very peculiar situation. My son, Roger, was just born. And I had my eldest, Vanessa, so I had to find another form of work. So yeah, I had to find myself a job and to sustain my family. And yeah, I didn't stop training. Carlinhos took over for a while, but he moved to Baja, and that's where he started Gracie Baja. But it was too far from my house to Baja. I lived in Copacabana. It was really, really difficult to get to. Really, a lot of traffic, a lot of hours in the car. So I think I stopped jiu-jitsu for a little while. You train here and there with a friend or two, but everybody went in different directions. But you never really stop. You know, you love jiu-jitsu, I love jiu-jitsu. So you'll find your way back into the gym. There's no way around that. I didn't complete my. That's the irony of life, no? A little while after I got my black belt, Holmes passed away. So I got completely dismotivated to compete at all. I think I had one competition as a black belt that I remember. Yeah. I had a lot in blue, purple, and brown, but black belt, I think it was just one in Niteroi. It was just one fight. The guy lost in like less than a minute. And I think that was about it. Years later I competed, but already in the Masters division. I think 10 years later, something like that. Then I competed a little bit, Masters division or senior. Yeah. But that was years later. Sergio Payne is a very dear friend that I have. You know, there was this time in Brazil that we kind of all lived in the same neighborhood, but there were different schools. There was Oswaldo Alves, where Sergio from. You had the Rolls Gracie guys. You had us, and the rivalry between us was huge. Everybody wanted to be the best and compete better, and fight. It was a very healthy competition. And Sergio Payne is one of them. He was Oswaldo's our star. He was a hell of a fighter. He was amazing. So we fought in the blue belt, and he won. Both of our fights was won by points. The blue belt he won, and then we fought again as purple belt. This time he came. He was up and running. I was the underdog. He was the guy. Oh, Sergio Payne. I walked in the stadium. Oh man, Sergio Payne is here. He's gonna fight. And it's this photo here. He had an amazing setup of armbar and triangle from the guard. Very difficult to resist. But at the same time, I have a very unique way and effective in guard passing with a stack position, holding the leg and all that. So he pulled guard and he went exactly for that. And I could see holes on the corner of my eye. You know when your instructor is fighting with you, doing arching and doing the same position. So I looked at him and he was passing the guard with me. I said, man, this guard, I am going to pass the guard. And I remember in the very last bit, I lost balance a little bit and I went forward. I hit the tip of my head to the floor, but I managed to come back and I passed. And oh man, it was a beautiful fight. And Eddie Gracie called me that night to congratulate me, because they were always there on these competitions. There was a lot of pressure because throughout all those years, they always had a panel of tables. You know, like they have nowadays, where they have the guys with a computer. Those days, no. It was a table and a chair lined up, overlooking the match of the people that were fighting. And in these chairs, you had Rolls Gracie sitting down, Eddie Gracie, and Mosul, I think, and some other red belts. So everybody wanted to do their best because man, you're fighting and look who's watching. Never mind the public. Look who's watching you fight. The creators of the art. Oh man. Yeah. So that was a really nice day. We never fought again, but every time I haven't been to Vegas that many times, but I went once. Roger had a fight, and then we went back again for the Masters. And every friend of mine that, I'm going to Vegas. Oh, you gotta go see Sergio Payne and train at his gym. He receives us so well. I went to his house. We had meals together. He's a fantastic person, him and his family, and yeah, we got our belts together, red and black, and now red and white, and hopefully we're gonna still be alive to get our red belts together. Me, him, Jacare, and Mas. 8 years to go now. We did a bit of Greco-Roman, but mostly wrestling. He even put a wrestling mat in the gym. But it was difficult to do Jiu-jitsu on it because they were very, they're not really made for Jiu-jitsu training. The thing is that he would encourage us to fight. He even competed in Sambo. I think Hose was, and you have to understand that this was in the late 70s. There wasn't much jiu-jitsu going on in the world at all. Even in Brazil. It was mostly in Rio and we didn't have that many competitions. So I think he was always searching for new things to do and new stuff to make us compete. I remember my first wrestling match. Oh, it was so embarrassing. I got this guy in front of me. I've known him before from the same neighborhood that we had our gym, the gym, and I stood in front of him. I grabbed his neck and boom, pulled guard and landed on the floor, and I was disqualified. And the guy disqualified me, and I didn't really understand what happened. Even my opponent said, "Man, you can't pull guard." So I didn't know that. So, but later on, we got to know the rules more, and we were just going for it, you know. I won a little medal. I was Brazilian champion in that once. Not that I was a good wrestler, no, but all of these things help you understand, you know, the concept of balance and what to do, how to fight other martial arts. And it's very interesting, you know, the way that he would put all of these things together in order to help us be a more complete fighter. And he went to America, brought this American guy over to help teach us. And this guy did everything to take Halls to America at that point. This was in 1977, 78. And, but Halls wouldn't leave Brazil. So he didn't accept the offer, but, I remember when he put a gi on this guy. This guy was huge. Halls was 70 kilos, 71 kilos. This guy would have been at least, maybe 105 or massive guy, strong as an ox. And then I was like, put the gi on, let's have a go. The guy tapped every every 5 seconds or something like that. And then, now I know what Jiu-Jitsu is. Interesting how much he had to offer us, He would show a new position, and that day. And then he said he would try to show how that position was effective. So he would go and spar with all of us. And he would tell, now I'm going to get all of you in this position. I said, no, you're not. So we knew what he wanted to do, and he was still doing it. Oh, man. An amazing person. You know what? Sometimes he was so agile. He was like a cat. We would hold him, feet and arm, this close to the floor. And he would say, let go. And he would manage to turn around before he hit the floor. Amazing, huh? Amazing. Yeah, all of this happened because I lost my ground after Hall's death, and I had to get a job. I had to work. So this job landed on my lap, and because I had good English, I was always able to get in a very high competitive level with people, because I was very fluent in the second language, which is English. I could read and write like normal, like Portuguese. So I had this job, which was quite stressful because it's intense. You work all day and you work late hours, and sometimes you have to work weekends. What happened? And I had kids. But the thing is that Jiu-Jitsu always found a way in my life, even in these hard times. At the same time that I was doing all this, Alexandre Paiva, which became an extremely great friend of mine, opened his gym right next to where I was living. His first gym, Strike. It was even an alliance. It wasn't alliance back then. So I would wake up at 6 o'clock, 6:15, train from 7 to 8-ish, then have a shower and go to work. And I think that's what saved me. You have to, I tell this to everybody. You have your work that you do every day, 5 days a week, all day long. But you have to have something aside from that. You have to have a hobby or something that will give your body some kind of pleasure. And that would be, different people have different choices. I always had Jiu-Jitsu in my life, and I know for a fact that Jiu-Jitsu is a big lifesaver. I've seen it save lives, help people, do everything. And because I always had this tool. So even though you were working a lot and having a very stressful life, I knew that in that morning I would wake up and meet friends. And because he just opened that gym, a lot of guys that were loose out there, black belts, brown belts, but we were kind of all the same age, and we had nowhere to go. And he managed to put all of us together. We had like a group of, oh man, I don't even know, maybe more than 20, 25. All the guys, most of us black belts, have been training years and years and years, and we would always go there in the morning and beat each other up, or try. And that was our starting of our day. After that, anything can happen in your day, anything, it doesn't matter, you know. You can get as stressed as you like, be upset as you will, but you have something to go back to the next day. And that's what Jiu-jitsu gives you. That, you know, that good feeling of a workout, a healthy environment to be in. It's like any kind of therapy that people pay fortunes. Our therapy is having a nice time with our friends, but at the same time, one trying to beat each other up. There's nothing better than that. Nothing. You know, I think if it was more recent, I would probably say that, yeah, maybe there's one or two guys that I would love to fight again, but so many years has passed that I created, there's more like, it's more like these guys now are my friends, long-time friends. And I don't see any point of, oh, I want to fight you again. Nah. I think it's like Roger and Jacare. Look how many fights they did, you know? There was some point that, oh, they need to fight again. No, they don't. They're friends now. Mm-hmm. The rivalry that they had was all left on the mats. And the rivalry that I might have had with one or other person is lost. Lost in time. I wouldn't want to fight anybody again. I just want to carry on teaching. Hell no. Hell no. You know, you can't. Your son is born, and you can't predict what he's going to do or what he's going to like with his life. So I see parents nowadays pushing. My son has to compete. My son has to do that. And you see the poor kid looking at his dad. Some kids actually like it, but others don't. And they compete because of the pressure of the mom or dad. And you know what's that gonna lead them? Nowhere. Have you ever seen a kid that won and competed and then went on to adults to win everything? No. People go through phases in life. You know? One thing is sure. I knew that he was going to train. If he liked it or not, if he was going to compete or not, that's another level, another situation. And why do you want him to train? To give him confidence, to give him the knowledge of something that was great in your life, and you want to share that with your son. Even though you might have been working with something else at the time, you're still, oh, train, it's good for you, it's going to be good for you. Yeah, and in Roger's case, he had cousins, uncles, aunts, the whole family saying, did you train? Are you training? No? So you feel a little bit of pressure putting you in yeah, I got to do this. But if he was going to be a great competitor, you can't predict that. Nobody can. It's impossible. He did that on his own, because he wanted to. And he told his mom one day, after Roger only tapped once in a competition as a blue belt, his first blue belt competition, he was 16 years old. And the guy got him in the figure 4 footlock. That's all that guy ever did. And he was really good at it. And he caught Roger. It was by quick rap. And Roger was really upset by it. Really upset. I can see it in his face. And then he told his mom, you'll see, I'll be the greatest competitor ever. And guess what? He became that. He never lost again. He might have lost. He never tapped again. Obviously he lost. Nobody puts his name out there like he did. Or even an example like Hansel. How many fights did Hansel have? How many fights did Roger have? Zillion. Can you win them all? No. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Obviously, the majority of fights were won. And like Roger, his submission rate was unbelievable. Even nowadays, the IBJJF did a little while back a survey saying the competitors by the percentage of submissions. Roger was in the first place, and the second place didn't have 50% of his wins. And how unbelievable is that? He submitted nearly everybody he fought. So, can you predict that? No, how can you predict that? Obviously, when he started winning, even there was a video the other day of him fighting Jacare in the final fight of the absolute brown belt. Oh my God, that was an unbelievable fight. It was the best fight of that competition. Even they had really good black belt fights, but it was the best fight of the competition was Roger and Jacare, absolute brown belt. And there, or even before, as a blue belt, I remember one competition that he won, one of his first world competition as a blue belt. And I think he had like 15 fights in a day, something like that. And win everybody. Then he said, oh, there's something there. And then purple belt. And then brown. All by submission. And then black belt. I'm not even going to get into referee mistakes. Because then a lot of people are, oh, I don't want to get into that. But his achievements make us so proud. Yeah. It was so beautiful to see him fight. I miss that, I know he's not going to fight again, but I really do miss that, going to those competitions and watching him fight. Oh man, the adrenaline, the going, getting there, and oh man, oh.
You were so nervous, those videos, tradition and everything.
Yeah, you want him to do well. In most cases, a lot of times he lost to himself. The guy wasn't better than him. I didn't see anybody being better than him in doing, oh, he lost because that guy did that specific. No. He had to make a bad judgment or waited too long. It's unbelievable. His jiu-jitsu is unbelievable. It's an art to see him fight. Yeah. Still today. Well, that didn't stop just because he's not competing. You can't make that kind of comparison. You know why? Different times. Halls was best in his time, right? He has his qualities, his abilities, his way of being, his weight. That was Halls. Then came Rickson with his abilities, his style, his everything. And the Gracies always have somebody. It's a big family. At the same time that Rickson was still there, who came along out of the blue and put Jiu-jitsu on the map? Horst, that was just a kid. And Hardian came up with the idea of creating the UFC. And here we are. Jiu-jitsu grew worldwide. So, can I compare Halls to my son? How? Impossible. It gets faded through time. You know, you can compare Carlos, Eddie Gracie, or Carson to Roger. It's impossible. You can't compare. At that time, Carlos was the man, and then George, his brother, was doing the valitudes. Andrew came along with his new techniques and reinventing Jiu-Jitsu at a certain point. And then Halls came along, and reinvented Jiu-Jitsu as well, because Carson was right before him. Carson was a very well-built, extremely strong person. And then Halls came along, winning everybody and everything with only 70 kilos. Not that Andrew and Carlos weren't small, because they were. So, during that period of time, yes, it was the weak against the strong because they were tiny. Rickson was a bit more structured. Yeah? And, along with Rickson, you had Carlinhos, you had Chronicles. Right after that came a whole new generation of fighters. Royce, Enzo, Helium. These guys were the best at their time. And then came along another generation. And Roger stood out. But who did Roger learn from all these? Roger is a mixture of, first of all, me, because I was his father and I've been bothering him in the house, outside the house, in the garden, everywhere, holding him in my legs, pulling him guard and bothering him. And then he started training at that time with Renzo, when Renzo opened his first gym in Rio. But then he moved to his mother's house for a while. And that was in Baja. So he trained at the Gracie Baja, and Renzo moved to New York by then. So then he came that structure of the Gracie Baja family, and he competed throughout all of his years with the Gracie Baja patch on his back. So, and it was that time that Gracie Baja was the stronghold of Jiu-Jitsu in Rio. Man, that was a place to train. Oh. But, and then came the 90s, where the UFC exploded and Jiu-Jitsu became the most wanted martial art to learn. So most of, or all of these Brazilians moved. America, Australia, all over the world, mostly America. And Roger ended up in England. And here he stayed. He opened his first gym in 2003. That was the year he got his black belt. 2004, he fought Jacaré and broke the guy's arm. And there we go after that. Everybody knows the story. So, yeah, for a longer period of time, I think Roger, from 2003, 4, all the way to 2010, nobody fought better than Roger. And he proved himself by fighting Buchecha. Years later, Buchecha being what he is, 20 kilos heavier and 10 years younger. And he won by submission. How great was that? That was amazing. You know, a guy come out of the blue and fight with the guy that's the current world champion and submit him in 7 minutes. Whew. It was amazing. Proved how perfect, I can't say perfect, but how great a fighter he is. So, I think in the long run, yeah, he's the greatest competitor that ever lived. But in this era, yeah, it's a different eras. So that's why sometimes people, was Hall's the best ever lived? Yeah. But he died. And another fighter came along, and then another fighter came along. So during that period of time, that was the best fighter. That was the best. It's like, and history and life moves on, giving way to younger people and new talents come along and make way for new people. It's very difficult to compare. If it's very, you can say, oh, he was the greatest fighter that ever lived. In his time, yeah. But you can't compare. Did they train? No. Who would beat who? Nobody knows. Oh, he had a really good technique, but try sparring with Roger. I think, yeah. Kids go through different phases in their lives, you know. When they're a very young kid, they do as they're told. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and they can't even think of, oh, I don't wanna do it. I don't care what you wanna do. You are gonna do this, you're gonna do that. But as everything in life, kids rebel themselves against their parents as usual. So, and then become that pre-adolescent, pre-teenage years, or at the beginning of teenage years where, oh, I do what I want. Yeah, sure. You're gonna do what you want after you've done what I told you to do. So, I think when 11 or maybe 12, 13, he wanted to do something else or not do anything at all. Maybe just go to the beach, which is fair enough. You know, you don't put that much stress on your kid. At least that's what I did with my kids anyway. As long as they're doing some activity after school, it's fine by me. Doesn't matter what. Oh, I want to swim. Fine, go swim. Oh, I want to do a workout. Fine. I want to play tennis. I want to play basketball. Okay. Doesn't matter. In my head, it doesn't matter. Why? Because I'm a jiu-jitsu person. So I know that I will bring him back. I will always bring him back. So he might be fine. Okay, where's your gi? Put your gi on. Let's have a roll. Right? And little by little, you start pushing him back. I think the age that you really know, oh, now he's going to go and not stop, is in the late teens. 16, 17, 18. Then if they get the taste for it, they'll move on and they won't stop. That's the age. That's the defining age that, oh, okay, now he's gone. Because then he'll do it on his own. Then he won't need you anymore. He doesn't need you to take him to the gym. He doesn't need you to look after him or things that he sometimes, or most likely, he doesn't even want to have his parent back there looking at him training. You know, it's good to let your son, I think that's why I really agree in the people like Natalie, or the person arrives at the gym, you give your son to the instructors close the door, and the parents wait outside. You know, having the lessons of kids with their parents sitting around the gym, the mat, and, oh, come on, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Oh, that's put pressure on the gym, on the instructors, on the other kids that the parents are not doing that. And most likely your kid is gonna be extremely annoyed with having his mom and dad telling him or yelling him what to do. That's my humble opinion.